Hey! Welcome back! Trust the Process Live on My New Phillies Facebook page. We are in the My New Phillies studios. I'm here with the infant James himself and Mr. Five Digits Maximilian.
Why do you get a cool nickname and I'm the infant?
Because
That's
you're
what happens
a
when you put in
child.
your time.
Yeah,
You get cool
that's
nicknames. Hey.
He earned that.
Yep.
Well, we're going to talk about the Dirty Birds playing the other Dirty Birds.
The Dirty Birds.
It was a very ugly game yesterday, so we're going to get right into it. We lost.
We did.
Y'all
We lost.
Yeah, we lost.
And,
My squad won.
We
and
lost.
that's why you're the infant.
My squad won.
Yeah, whatever. It's just like ET is back again, all over again.
He's on the other side of you now.
I know.
You're going to yell at me out of habit at least once.
I'm going to be like, what? No. No.
ETL be proud.
He would be proud. That's exactly right. So what do you guys blame this Eagles loss on? We saw horrible play calls. We saw insane injuries, people coming out right and left. And then our horrible secondary, which you guys don't think is that horrible, but tell me what you guys blame this loss on.
Whoa, you're really just blowing my spot up right
Yeah,
off the
right,
spot.
go ahead.
I think, number one, this game comes down to how slow they started again, right? We sat here, same spot last week, saying if they come out so asleep in the first half again, the Eagles won't win. And we both said that we didn't think it would happen, but lo and behold, it did. Carson Wentz was probably the driver of the slow conductor in the first half.
I like that.
I mean, he had 2 picks in the first half. Look,
Like a
balled out the
locomotive.
second half, showed he's still capable of being that guy, still capable of being MVP candidate. But make no mistake, in the first half, he is the reason why the Eagles were down so much.
Yeah.
The defense, say what you want about them last week, they tried to do their best in the first half. Your quarterback throws 2 picks. He was 4 for 12 for 38 yards at one point. He had a bad half. That's not completely his fault. The offensive line was leaky, to put it nicely.
Yeah.
I saw a tweet, and I wish I could remember who it was, but it was a local beat writer. Isaac Seumalo had an all-time bad game on pass blocking and run blocking. If you're, a PFF person, I don't put all my stock into that, but clearly there's some merit to those measurements. And if you're rating, historically bad in both categories in one game, probably not going to go too well for your quarterback. On top of that, Peters didn't have his best game. The way I saw Peters, the whole left side of the line, obviously Seumalo not doing too well. Peters would hold on at the last second. McKinley would have Peters on top of Carson, but he wouldn't sack him. He would just make him feel very uncomfortable.
Right.
So I think the slow start that I guess kind of ultimately started with Carson wasn't completely offensive line's fault, but they are completely not to blame either. You know what I mean?
Right.
One thing leads to another. If your offense can't get in sync, your defense needs to be playing absolutely lights out. And it's hard to do against a team with that many receivers or weapons at receiver.
When your offense starts slow, the first person you look to to point blame to and to look at is your quarterback and your play caller. I mean, your offense starts and stops with your quarterback. So I understand why, people want to point blame at Carson right away. But when your offensive line plays so bad as you just pointed to, it limits what you can do, and it changes your play calling and your playbook immensely if you're not able, to protect Carson the way he needs to. You're not able to create holes for your running back. If your left guards and your left tackles, your most important part of your lines, are struggling the most, it really prohibits what you can do. And the reason why I defend the secondary so much is because we know the secondary is shaky. We know the secondary for the Eagles isn't all that good to begin with. But at the same time, they turned Matt Ryan over 3 times. And one of them came at one of the most crucial parts of the game when the Falcons are driving inside the Eagles' red zone. They come up with a big pick in the end zone.
Shades of Kiko Alonso.
A huge pick in the end zone.
I have to say this. I was thinking about this. This game was literally a flashback to 2016.
Yeah.
No offensive weapons. Nelson Aguilar dropping important
And I'm pretty
passes.
sure that game was
Carson getting
23-3,
demolished
right?
behind the
That's
offensive line.
really good comparison.
Seriously, I felt like we were in 2016 watching
Super
Carson's
ugly.
rookie year again.
Ugly
He's
game.
spoon-feeding the ball to Ertz, and the defense just couldn't make it happen. Show some magic.
But also, speaking of 2016, we also rarely had any deep threats then. So, how do we shift the momentum if that's our big momentum shift all the time is getting a deep ball and figuring out, making the defense play, man up. If we don't
Spreading them
have
out.
that, Deshaun is just out, and that's
Y'all
the
definitely
relationship
miss
that we've
Deshaun.
been nurturing for months.
I tell you what.
What do we do?
And at the same time, but the Falcons only had 24 points, and the Eagles were within striking distance the entire time.
Yeah.
And I think you can attribute that to the plays that the defense was making. And then you turn it back over to your offense, and your offense either gives the ball right away, doesn't capitalize on what they need to, and doesn't, take advantage.
Or they're going backwards.
Yeah, it doesn't take advantage of the fact that your defense held the Falcons to 24 points with such an elite receiving core.
It should have been more.
And it should have been way more. And no one should be surprised that Julio Jones went off on the Eagles defense. Like, it was going to happen. It's a sixth straight game of 100-plus receiving yards against the Eagles defense. It was almost going to happen, but the fact that you still held them to 24 points means that the secondary was doing a little more than they were expected to.
How much praise would the secondary be getting if the Eagles won this game? You know what I mean? That's why I feel like they're getting all of it. I think they're getting a little bit of a bad rap.
I definitely don't think that would happen. I think it would definitely go to Carson and him coming back. But also, he survived this game. So now, what does that say about him? Because if we won this game, all the praise would go to Carson Wentz. So what does that look like?
I mean, I think it is a very good sign that he not only survived the game, he left, came back, and got better.
Did you see him? He was like, no, I'm fine. Going back in. I'm fine. I deal with that with my high school kid.
I was just eating people up last night.
That's what I'm saying.
And then cute Carson back out, thankfully.
And then
he went out.
Proved it and backed it up by getting better as the game went on. Now, if he came back into the game and played like he did in the first half or played worse, people would then be getting on him and saying, look, you're hurt, you shouldn't be playing. Doug Peterson should have let him back in the game. But he got better as the game went on, which justifies him coming back in and is a good sign for him coming back into the game and surviving it. What I still think is a bad sign is he's doing the things and showing tendencies of what got him hurt in 2017, holding on to the ball a little bit too long, pressing when he's trying to make an extra play instead of maybe throwing it away and living to see another down, giving up his body at the goal line. Look, it's what you love about Carson Wentz.
But there's also this other side of that is like the reason why he did those things is because in 2016 he has no offensive weapons and his offensive line can't hold, and it's problematic. Like when you have those things, that's a natural response for a quarterback. So now it's like, okay, so we're back to this. So does he look like what he used to look like, or is that a natural response for a quarterback?
It's a natural response for a winner. Like Carson Wentz is a winner. Carson Wentz is going to do what he feels he needs to do at every point of the game to win the game and put his team ahead. But at the same time, when you're such a pivotal part to your team and you've already sustained these injuries, at some point you got to be able to reel it back and say I can't do it all myself. And that's just hard to get into someone's head.
I can't do it all myself.
I loved what I saw out of Carson. I think the biggest thing that we should take away from this is that his mentality has to be right after this point. I feel like, speaking for myself, and I would imagine there's others that echo this sentiment, last year never really felt like he was ever the Carson Wentz from the year before. It always felt like he was a little skittish. And, you don't want your quarterback to like hits, but the Carson Wentz that I knew and saw his first 2 seasons didn't mind getting hit. And last year he definitely was Joe Flacco, Eli Manning, Peyton Manning, just drop in the pocket to your, fetal position. He wasn't like how he was in 2018 with injuries aside. He didn't look. Yeah, he didn't look as aggressive. He looked more timid as a whole last year.
Last year was also about him, and this year is about the team. And he says it like the way he makes relationships is different. The way he nurtures everyone, it's not about him and Yolan anymore. It's about the whole team. Like it's not just the people who come to his Bible study. It's now the entire locker room. No, for real, because like the people who were in his wedding, the people who come to his Bible study, they was the people he was around all the time. And now it's everyone he's inviting. And I'm gonna tell you, Deshaun's not going to his Bible study. So the fact that him and Deshaun have this amazing handshake that they do all the time, and they roll the dice, it speaks to that locker room.
I think the funniest thing that came out of the offseason was when he went to the dinner with Alshon Jeffrey, Nelson Aguilar, Deshaun Jackson, all the black receivers, and it's just
not even the black receivers, all the super very for the culture receivers.
And Carson just doing his best to make friendships. But I do think there's a middle ground to have when you have the Carson Wentz of old who no one likes to get hit, but doesn't shy away from that contact to make a play, and the new Carson Wentz that knows that his best ability is his availability for his team, and if he sustains an injury, ultimately the Eagles season goes down the crapshoot.
All I'm going to say is this: when it comes to the physical part of the game, I think what stuck out to me most was that it was their last touchdown. 3rd and 1, he lines up for a QB sneak, gets them from the 2 to the 1, and then runs the same exact play to just take him into the end zone. And that, to me, I think that will speak volumes to the locker room.
They did that a lot, though. Collectively, they did that a lot.
I think running that many QB sneaks, and then on the ensuing 2 point, he tries to take it himself. I don't like this rule that if you're diving, I don't know when they.
I don't know what that rule
I don't know when
was.
they changed it. That if you're diving forward, you're still giving yourself up. Now I must have missed that one.
I don't know in what
he
context,
would have been in.
I don't know in what context someone diving from the 2 to the goal line to get in the end zone is ever giving themselves up.
Yeah, no, it was a thing that we talked about in the NFL about 3 years ago, and it was a thing that we had to watch. I remember the NFL sent out film about what this tackle looks like legally and what it looks like illegally, and we were like, what was the difference? I remember us sitting down and being like, okay, we have to study, and the refs come into camp all the time, and they have their own camp, and they were still like, we're working on this too.
It doesn't make sense to me that if you're diving forward, like in the history of the world, who has dove for the pylon and given themselves?
Yeah.
So from a coach's standpoint, what do you think of the rule they passed down on Carson Wentz last night? Like, was it the right thing to call? Was it the wrong thing to call?
I mean, it's one of those, like, it depends on who taught your refs that rule.
Yeah.
Because the refs who learn that rule at the goal line call it differently than the refs who learned it on the sideline.
Mm-hmm.
Because we learned it on the sideline and the hash mark. So how does that work over there versus doing it on a goal line? Now it changed the dynamic of who emphasized what when you learned it.
But that's also a problem to me that rules have become so subjective. It's not based on what's happening. It's based on who's seeing it, who's calling it. Like that's
yeah,
so
I mean,
bad.
but
That is a can of
that's
worms
also
bad to me.
Yeah, I mean, but that's I mean, if you want to talk about anything, like look at the Saints and how their games got called. Like, you know what I mean? Like it could be way worse. Right. So, I mean, we talked a lot about Carson Wentz and our offense, but now speaking to our defense. Now, Julio Jones.
That boy bad.
Kills the Eagles.
He made a play. He made a play. I mean, we've shut him down before in other years, so like he got his due. He had it against us, right? But like, so that offensive drive that he hit, was that an amazing offensive play for the Falcons, or was that just like a defensive, just like super scrubby
I would love to hear,
play?
as an Eagles fan.
As an Eagles fan and as an NFL fan, offense always wins, right? It's pretty straightforward.
No.
Talking to a defensive coach.
In general, offense has the upper hand by nature of the game. And
not if you coach your defense, right?
In the modern era, yeah. In the modern
era, exactly. So whoever is in charge of that play call, whether that's what's designed in all of Matt Ryan's theatrics at the line of scrimmage, were just making everyone aware of what exactly needs to happen for them to score that touchdown, or if that's him changing the play, regardless of how that play gets to that point, it's the absolute perfect play. There's mismatches on the outside. Yeah. They send their best offense, or one of their, their more agile, athletic offensive linemen out there to seal it down. And obviously, as you saw, no one's catching Julio Jones hitting 20 miles an hour on a 54-yard sprint to the end zone. Yeah. So absolutely perfect play call. And on the other side of that, I want to not like the blitz. We were talking about this before the show. Personally, I think if it's 4th and 3, you never want to blitz because you know they're not running. You know for a fact the Falcons are never, ever running the ball in 4th and 3 from that position. So I think at that point you take your chances and you try to, if the game is going to continue on, you at least don't get beat and you make them beat you, on 4 downs when it gets closer to the end zone. Right. And I think blitzing there personally was not the call for me. But Schwartz, that's the only reason they were in that game. So that's the only reason they had 3 interceptions and they had all the turnovers. That's the only reason that game was still 1 possession and the Eagles have a lead late in the 4th quarter.
That's why I defend
if it's not broke, don't fix it.
Exactly. And that's, you live by the blitz, you die by the blitz, and they very, very much died by the blitz on that particular play.
And look, and every single time, I won't say every single time, 90% of the night when they made Matt Ryan uncomfortable and have to make a hurry throw or even get outside of the pocket, he made a bad decision. The one time he did it is when he scrambled to the right and, threw that jump ball up in the end zone and someone happened to come down with it. I forget exactly who it was. Came down with a touchdown. But, and so that's why I think it's a good offensive play call. Whether Matt Ryan audibled at the line or whether that came in through his helmet right away, I think is beside the point because they knew Jim Schwartz was going to bring that, that pressure. He's been bringing it all night.
It was also pretty evident.
He has what to say. He didn't disguise it at all. It was coming right up the middle. So they knew they had to get the ball out really quickly. And then just in that situation, we need to make one play. If I need to make one play, I'm giving it to the best playmaker on my offense. So there's no ifs, ands, or buts. I'm giving it to Julio, and I'm daring you to stop him, especially in the open field. Like, don't make him have to run a crazy route and get open. Give it to him in space. Let him beat whoever's in front of him. At the very least, pick up that first down. If not, it goes 54 yards to the house.
Yeah,
like it did.
The
That's
what happened. The Eagles are going to have to earn their checks this year. Yeah, he beat somebody on a 1-on-1, and then it was just open field from there. Like, it's off to the races at that point. Everyone knows if you get certain people, Deshaun too, you get Deshaun off to the races, that man is gone. Yeah. So, like, if you don't win that 1-on-1, if you don't win that up front, but also at the point where your preseason starters are in, like, what do they do well? Like, what is the thing that you rep the heck out of in preseason? And for Jim Schwartz, that's always going to be the blitz.
And it's funny because people rip Jim Schwartz about playing his cornerbacks off in 10 yards of coverage. I mean, it's 4th and 3, so you can't really play off. But imagine if the corners were off on that play. And Julio Jones doesn't get the ball, make one man miss, and have Evergreen in front of him. Yeah. Players may have some room to come up and make plays and also get in on the tackle. So it's a double-edged sword, it really is.
So there are so many people that went down during this game. Like, it was very much an old. Crazy. It looked like a very old Eagles team, like the year before the Super Bowl. It was pretty nuts. So but the big guys, Deshaun, Peters, Alshon Jeffrey, like they all went down and out, for a significant amount of time. Who is the most valuable on this team moving forward?
Of those three or the team? I'm gonna stick to these three. Out of these three, I think it's definitely Deshaun Jackson.
It's always Deshaun.
Yeah.
But I mean, let's say those three are gone and they don't come back. On the team left, like who was our big piece?
I mean, it's got to live and die by Carson after that as your best piece. And he's got to be able to find who's left on that offense, which you're stripping it back down to your core.
Oh, we're back to 2016.
Yeah, you're back to Nelson Aguilar and Zach Ertz. And look, there's a reason that Zach Ertz caught more passes than any tight end in the history of the NFL in a single season last year. And you might have to go back to that billing. What really hurts is that you don't have that deep threat of Deshaun Jackson to stretch the field and have that underneath route open. But you're going to have to find ways to make it happen. And Carson Wentz is going to have to find guys in their best position. And I mean, let's not forget that he did find a guy wide open down the left side of the sideline to probably have the game winner. And just being too open, sometimes you drop the ball.
Yeah.
So I think if
also
if we're going to go outside of those three,
checks.
it's going to have to be Carson Wentz on the offensive end. But if we're going to go within those three of who got hurt, Deshaun, Alshon, and Jason Peters, I'm going to go Deshaun Jackson because we saw how much the difference of the Eagles' offense from week 1 to week 2 when Deshaun Jackson is in and when he's not in, and just how they're able to just completely spread a defense thin when he's in, and when they're not, like we just
it's
see
hard
it all
not
in.
to say Deshaun.
Yeah.
It is.
See, for me, it's really easy to not say Deshaun. As far as I'm concerned, Alshon Jeffrey is the absolute knockdown, unquestionable.
Jason Peters.
I'm interested to hear why.
Deshaun Jackson, we can agree his best asset is taking the top off the defense. Aguilar was able to do that 3 separate times towards the end of that game. I'm not saying that he's as good or better than Jackson is, but I think that
the catch didn't really take the top
off.
He just happened to be.
He was behind everyone. If you're behind everyone, that's taking the top off.
That's not necessarily.
If you are fast enough to run past the coverage, that's how you take the top off.
We've seen that that's not necessarily true with Nelson Aguilar.
Right.
Like,
Think about it like this.
Individually.
Deshaun Jackson and Nelson Aguilar can both get behind the defense and drop that pass. Alshon Jeffrey catches that touchdown on the right-hand side slot that hits.
You must have forgotten what happened. The reason your season ended last year.
I'm very
on a Alshon Jeffrey drop pass.
And Alshon Jeffrey's best trait is going up and getting the ball. Look, every receiver has stuff going.
Best trait,
Alshon Jeffrey is absolutely a pinnacle jump ball receiver. I guarantee you, if Alshon Jeffrey is the one on the receiving end of that seam route to Aguilar that gets knocked out of his hand, guaranteed you he comes down with. Guarantee it.
I'm definitely holding my breath a lot harder with Alshon in the air than Deshaun.
I think the difference between the person who would step in for Alshon as your big body possession receiver, if you want to call that Arcega-Whiteside, and the difference between Nelson Aguilar having to be the speed guy and filling Deshaun Jackson, I think there's a night and day difference, and you absolutely would rather have Nelson Aguilar.
Max, no, I'm gonna stop you right there. I'm gonna call my 30. What's my 30? I'm gonna call it right now. The difference between
I'm very into this.
The difference between Deshaun Jackson as your primary deep threat and Nelson Aguilar as your primary deep threat, going down the field and stretching a defense, I think is a bigger gap than having Alshon Jeffrey or J.J. Arcega-Whiteside as your jump ball.
Arcega-Whiteside isn't even on the same page as Wentz.
That's what he was in college. Arcega-Whiteside was a big body jump ball receiver in college. It's already his
billing. And Nelson Aguilar had a 50-yard catch, could have had a 70-yard touchdown. He is capable of getting past people. That's what he's had to do.
I have a question. So Alshon Jeffrey is elite. He's an elite
possession receiver. He's not an elite receiver, but he is an elite possession receiver. If you were throwing a 6-yard fade and you have one-on-one coverage,
in his prime, maybe. I don't know if he's still in that elite status anymore.
Receiver?
Yeah, that's like saying Deshaun Jackson's an elite receiver when he's clearly not. He's an elite deep threat.
Right.
Are you telling me that Deshaun Jackson's your guy to go 2 yards in on the run?
It's so interesting that oh, glory. It's so interesting that nobody
Stick to
said.
Defense.
Excuse
oh,
me.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh, my.
I'm going to stay over here after that.
I'm just gonna breathe. It's okay. It's all right. It's interesting that none of us said Jason Peters specifically because we're talking about how
Dillard's a stud in the making.
Because we keep talking about how Carson needs to feel comfortable and how we need him to feel safe, and then no one said Jason Peters is important because we need him to establish the run game.
I mean, all three of these people I think are important. I think he's the least important of the three. The Eagles they've operated without him. They're used
to operating without him.
They prepare for life without Jason Peters.
The last 2 years have been operating without Jason Peters.
They drafted twice and traded for people to be in there when Jason Peters is gone. They prepare for life without Jason Peters. So I just think he comes as the least.
Yeah.
I think we have a question, so we're going to hit Pikachu over there.
Yes, we do. So first, before we get to the question, we wanted to shout out the Best Damn Eagles group on Facebook with over 25 members watching us right now. Thank you guys so much for tuning in to Trust the Process Live. Very happy to have you guys here.
Yes, sir.
And from Jack McGeo, I'm sorry if I said your name wrong there. If you are in a situation where one play loses the game, you didn't deserve to win. Great comment by Jack. Back to you guys.
I disagree. I disagree
I
completely.
would disagree. Tell that to the Denver Broncos.
Yeah, I disagree completely.
Great
My goodness. The reason that they were only one play away from winning or losing the game is because of how hard they played you know, through the rest of the 3 quarters and through the 4th quarter. I'm sorry.
A lot more games come down to one play in the last two and a half to 3 minutes than don't.
This game was a lot about maintaining, and that's something that no one wants to be at, but just like maintaining what's there. Yeah. Like, just don't hurt us at this point. And so like that's where you are. And that's a difficult place to be because it's hard to maneuver when you're just trying, when your back is against the wall and you're just trying to stay afloat.
Yeah. I would just say last thing before we move on, this is a great, like, not to be cliche, but this is a great learning experience. This is the kind of loss that keeps you bitter throughout the year. This is a classic, like, what if we had all those guys? There's no way, but there's no way anyone in that locker room believes that they wouldn't have won this game, barring injuries.
I also don't mind losing to people who are good people or good teams and good solid like
That's
franchises.
That's an elite receiving core that you just
But also, like, Dan Patrick Quinn is one of the best coaches in this league right now. Like, he's phenomenal. He's just tenured, and I've learned so much from him personally. So the fact that, like, we didn't lose to the Cowboys or, you know, Giants or
silver lining.
Silver lining. There's so many other worse people we could have lost to. Right. So now it is halftime. So I want to talk to you guys really quickly about My New Philly's new show coming up. There's a guy who's normally here who's not. He's normally to my right, Everett Terry. He's not here.
You know, he's not.
But if you guys miss him, there's an opportunity to see him every Monday at 12 noon on the My New Philly Facebook for our new show with Seth Joyner, which is going to be huge. It's called Hit 'em High, and it's going to be,
Oh, you got an ad-lib. Ad-lib, quick.
I can't.
I don't see ad-libs in here.
You was on a roll. That took me right off.
It took me right off. No, but Hit 'em High is our new show on My New Philly, and it's going to be super dope, super exciting on Monday, and they're going to hit so many Philly things and so many Philly topics that, like, it's going to be nuts. I can't wait to see Seth Joyner and E.T.
It don't get more Philly. It don't get much more Philly than Seth Joyner.
Than Seth Joyner,
You come here for the takes, you go to Hit 'em High for the analysis.
And it doesn't get any much like un-Philly or Philly arguing.
I was about to say, I can't wait
like the anger that is the Miami Dolphins, Everett Terry.
Yeah, I can't wait for the first time he like really says something out of bounds.
I'm gonna like
Seth Joyner.
I wanna like get on like and leave comments about Everett that Seth doesn't know yet. Like ask him about the Dolphins.
He gonna be great.
Hey, shouldn't that guy have a Jalen Mills jersey on?
Yeah, where's his Jalen Mills jersey?
It's gonna be a great show though.
That's awesome. So check that out every Monday at 12 noon. Seth Joyner, Everett Terry. It's gonna be super fun. Hit 'em high. All right, so now it is time for Keep Trade Drop.
I love this segment.
I love when we do games.
I do love
we need
games.
a game.
We need
More
signs.
games, goddammit.
We need
We
signs.
are children, right, Mick? We're children.
No, you're a child. I'm an adult.
I'm a child here now all of a sudden.
I'm a grown-ass woman.
Child here now all of a sudden.
Sorry, family show.
Give me a game.
I'm a grown woman. But we do need, like, signs. I will, like, keep trade drop. All right, so keep trade drop. Eagles running backs. Darren Sproles, Miles Sanders, Jordan Howard.
I think the drop is pretty easy.
Clear.
D for Darren, D for Rob.
Sorry, Darren.
Sorry, Darren.
I'm keeping Miles Sanders and trading Jordan Howard. The reason I'm keeping Miles Sanders is younger, and I think he's right now probably one of the most, the most skilled of the 3 backs in terms of what he can do running and passing, catching the ball out of the backfield. Plus, Jordan Howard still has great trade value. He's a veteran. He's already shown that he can be productive in this league. I think there's a lot of teams out there that would love to have a Jordan Howard, and there's still a little bit of an unknown of Miles Sanders. Still a little bit of unknown of Miles Sanders. I mean, playing behind Saquon Barkley, you don't get a whole lot of opportunity and exposure in college, and Jordan Howard's already shown he could do it at a high level in the NFL. So keep Miles Sanders, trade Jordan Howard.
And that's why I'm trading Miles Sanders and keeping Jordan Howard. I came on here last week, said Jordan Howard needs the ball more. I think even more so after last night. And I think when it comes to value, the rookie running back who is showing promise has more trade value. In my crazy hypothetical, if you can flip Miles Sanders and picks to help bring in that one extra piece, that's more likely to get a deal done than adding Jordan Howard as that piece. So I think, if we're talking about the context of the Super Bowl window, which is this year, I think, still, and probably next year and potentially the year after, I think you can, potentially. I think the potential upgrade at linebacker or D-back or insert position that you think the Eagles need to improve on here would be more worth it than the potential upgrade you could get by including Jordan Howard.
I mean, but it comes down to speaking in that window. In the next 3 years, do you see Jordan Howard's production going up, staying the same, or getting lower? And the same with Miles Sanders. And for me, I see Jordan Howard either plateauing or getting worse in the Eagle system, and Miles Sanders going up. So the reason why I would keep Miles Sanders is for that.
I think that's totally fair. Yeah. I just think that the two other running backs on the roster at that point, Clement and Sproles, are both proven as pass catchers, and I think that Jordan Howard should be getting most of the carries. So I think that would funnel that to him.
Great job. Okay, so this one is probably my favorite one, just because of all the shenanigans that happen here in my New Philly. elite fantasy running backs with baggage.
That's quite a category to be put into.
Elite fantasy running backs with baggage.
Okay.
A quick left turn at the end.
I know, I love it. That made me so happy.
You think, I'm about to debate the good ones, and then you're like, no.
With baggage, right. So James Conner,
right,
Fournette, and Joe Mixon.
Ooh.
That's so annoying. That's such an annoying group of people.
I am trading James Conner and hoping that someone is willing to take a risk on him after he hurt his knee.
Yeah.
I'm keeping Leonard Fournette because his volume is always going to be insane regardless of who is at quarterback for the Jaguars. And I am dropping Joe Mixon because the Bengals let me down so insanely hard, and I'm now completely off the bandwagon, and I think they're going to be terrible.
Okay, so
Were you ever on that bandwagon?
There was a little bit of time.
The Bengals went to Seattle week 1, and they lost by a single point as a 10-point underdog, and I thought going home against Jimmy Garoppolo, who cannot stop throwing interceptions, I thought they had a chance to make a little niche in the league, go 1-1, kind of be like, hey, we're not a total joke. Our new head coach is not Marvin Lewis. We can be competitive. And no, they lost by 27 or 24, whatever it was. They got killed, and it would have been by more, except for John Ross got the most meaningless touchdown of the season, I would say. Probably the most meaningless touchdown of the season.
Week 1 is always the most the most violent, pressurized game, and it's almost never indicative to the rest of the season.
No.
Yeah.
Especially with
week 1.
Every level, high school, college.
Tampa Bay Buccaneers put up 47 in New Orleans week 1 last year, and they finished with
48 actually, Max.
Sorry.
48.
My bad. I should have told you to close your ears. I forgot.
Yeah.
I hope he had.
You guys won that game though. I
hope you had was on the screen though. I hope it wasn't me on the screen. No.
You guys won that game though.
I hope it was a cut to Max.
To change the subject gracefully, I'm gonna keep.
Well done.
I'm gonna keep Joe Mixon. Also trading James Conner, dropping Leonard Fournette. It makes me feel better that I'm keeping Joe Mixon, and the reason that you're dropping him is strictly personal.
Yeah. mostly personal.
It's a vendetta.
It's like 80%. It's like 80% personal.
It's literally
80%.
It's like 80% personal.
Joe Mixon, to me, is a little more versatile than Leonard Fournette is. Catching the ball out of the backfield, we know it's an air raid type of league. People love to pass, and Joe Mixon can aid in the passing game a little bit better than Leonard Fournette can. For the same reason you're trading James Conner, is I'm trading James Conner. He had a great year. Great first half of the year last year. He doesn't recover well, but there's a lot of talent in that running back, and I think there's a lot of teams who could use.
Who doesn't want a running back with a rookie quarterback? A lot of volume. A lot of volume
to go right there.
All right, last one. Ready?
Yeah.
Contender or pretender?
With baggage.
With baggage.
They all got baggage. They all got baggage.
Honestly, I would say through 2 weeks, these 3 teams probably have some of the least amount.
Yeah.
Outside of New England and Kansas City.
You all better drop the Packers.
No.
Say the teams before we go away.
Thanks. You know how I feel about the Packers. Stop it.
Spoiler.
Cheese on my head, but don't call me a cheesehead. The Packers, the Ravens, or the boys.
Okay, Mickey, I'm sorry, but
no. Don't do it. Don't do it. If you,
all Eagles fans, please plug your ears.
Matter of fact, you go last. Go last because I might kick you out.
All right. I'll go ahead. I'll go first.
Ahead.
I'm trading the Ravens. Their stock is as high as can be after beating up the lowly Dolphins and almost kind of sort of maybe blowing it to Kyler Murray at home. But people are still enamored with them. Lamar Jackson is a beast. Maybe it's just me being a skeptic by birth, but I feel like after last week, I'm a little bit lower on the Ravens than most people were.
Yeah.
I'm keeping the Packers. I think their defense is absolutely legit. Say what you want about the 2 offenses that they played, but it looks like that's a different team. And I'm dropping the Cowboys again. This is 80% personal.
99% 10%
be honest with
personal.
yourself.
The other 10%
with
is how
yourself.
bad the Giants are, and then the last 10% is how bad the Redskins are.
Are you
So I'll
kidding
say
me
out of,
right
those,
now?
out of those three teams,
That Redskins team was beating you up by 17 points at one point.
okay, and then what happened the rest of the way?
Yeah,
It doesn't matter. Tale of two halves. So I'm going to say that by virtue of the Cardinals not getting blown out, I think that they're the best team out of the four between the Cardinals, Dolphins, Giants, Redskins, and that's why I'm going to trade the Ravens instead of trade the Cowboys.
I need you to take your bias
Drop
glasses off.
the Cowboys.
I'm sorry, I can't do
Keep
it.
the Packers.
You'd be
Trade the
really lying
Ravens.
to yourself if you didn't say out of these three teams that the Packers are the most. The Cowboys. So you got my brain all off. The Cowboys
Because
are the
I
most
got you
complete
right.
team.
I thought you were seeing the light for a second.
The Cowboys are the most complete team out of these three teams right
Are you
here.
kidding
They
me?
100%.
Cowboys
are.
have not been
Wow.
challenged defensively
They-
yet.
That is
Not at all.
a horrible perspective.
It is not. It is really not. They have, if not the best running back in the league, a top 2 or 3 running back in the league. Their defensive line, especially their front seven, is nothing short of very impressive, if not elite, on the defensive end. So you don't have that in any of these two other teams. I'm trading the Ravens because of all the same reasons. Probably very high value. I'm still high on them, even after they almost blew it to the Cardinals. The Cardinals came back against the Lions too. I know it's not nothing really impressive, but they also still did that.
Only play who's in front of you.
Right. They also still did that to the Lions, and I'm sorry, but I'm dropping the Packers. It's just it's by
fine.
default. It's not that she threw my pen. It's not that I dislike the Packers. Who can dislike a team led by Aaron Rodgers besides a Vikings fan? Like who can dislike a team led by Aaron Rodgers for a defense that has stepped up and played
It's funny
great?
because Aaron Rodgers is like one of the most dislikable people
Yeah,
in the league, which
Are
is
you
hilarious.
kidding me?
What do you mean? Are you kidding me? Have you ever heard about how the guy? I'm not throwing out heavy accusations here. Allegedly treats his whole family.
Right.
That talk.
I'm talking that talk.
I'm talking on the field. An Aaron
Listen.
Rodgers-led team on the field with a defense who showed up in both weeks. How do you not like them? But in terms of keeping, trading, or dropping, if I had to put them in one of those three categories, they're getting dropped.
All right, that's fair. I don't know. I think it's just really it's the Aaron Rodgers effect. Like
Who doesn't like
the
Aaron
Packers
Rodgers?
have been smelly for the last couple of years, and it feels like
Smelly.
yeah.
Is that a Wisconsin joke?
they
Is that like a
stink.
cheese joke?
No,
That was a good one, Max.
I'm going to take credit
That
for
was-
it. No, the Packers have not been good over the last couple of years, and Aaron Rodgers has been checked out mentally. I think you give him
No
a defense
way.
that shows that they're not going to blow leads that he gets, or that they're not going to get blown out so he has to throw 45 times and get sacked all the time.
You're talking about rejuvenation? How
Yeah,
about
I think the Packers have the highest ceiling of the three teams that are listed.
Oh, but how about a team that, when they got Amari Cooper last year, became one of the best offensive teams in the league, adding a veteran like Randall Cobb, Aaron Rodgers' favorite target when he was at Green Bay, and then
He was a nobody last year. He was
and
irrelevant
then
last year.
combining that defense with two great young talents. You're talking about an upside, two great young talents at linebacker, and one of the best and most tenacious DNs in the league on defense.
Tenacious.
Tenacious
D.
DeMarcus Lawrence.
I'm not ready to buy in on the Cowboys yet.
No,
That's
never
just like
mind.
Bias. It is
Never
a
mind.
bias
It's
mindset.
not biased. They
And
have
one day,
honest.
you guys will
They
It's
played
honest.
two of the
When they
projected
get-
worst 10 teams in
I
the
was
league.
like, when
one day you guys
when they actually get exposed, I just want you to be ready
Well,
for
admit
it.
it
That's
one
all.
day.
Like I will make sure that is the week that I'm here
Okay.
because like I need you to understand like when they actually get challenged for real,
Word.
like what's up?
And
That's fine.
When they win the division for a second straight year, I will sit right
Wow.
here at this table and look
What?
both of you.
will see.
Wow, you're gonna have to just tap out at that point.
We will
Just-
see.
It is now time for
10
James to tap out. So just forget everything else. Just tap out,
I'm
James.
10 toes on that. I actually want to bring up something that's a little bit more serious. I'm sure everyone has seen it in the news the past 2 days, the comments that Tim Tebow had about the Fair Play Act that was passed in California. I just think it'd be unfair if I didn't get to have my own 2 cents on it. As well here on the show, I'm going to take that opportunity. Look, I understand what Tim Tebow was saying. I get it from a logistical standpoint. I don't agree with it whatsoever. His point in saying that he doesn't like the Fair Play Act because it takes the amateurism out of this amateur sport that is college sports, and it makes it more of a me thing than a we thing. While he's not wrong because getting paid is about you, it's about the value that you bring to an organization. And we all can sit up here, and I invite you guys, if you guys disagree or have comments on it, I invite you to share. But if we're going to look at the NCAA and especially college football and college basketball, the only reason it's called amateur is because they refuse to pay their players. If you look at the money that industry brings in, there's nothing amateur about it. What they're asking these players to do, these 17, 18 through 22-year-old young men to do, is nothing short of a job. They are committing all 16 hours that they're not committing to anything else while they're awake, to playing football, to playing basketball, whether it's studying the game, whether it's preparing for it, whether it's working out, whatever. This is a full-time job for 99% of these athletes. And the money that they are bringing in speaks to the fact that they are not just amateurs doing it in their spare time. These are employees working for a corporation that's bringing in millions and billions of dollars. And if they are to sell things out of their likeness, whether it's an autograph or a jersey that's directly correlated and directly resulted from who they are on the field and what they represent as a person and as a self-brand, they should be able to see not only money, but every dime that they make from that. To refuse it is your personal choice. And if you're a person who doesn't want to see that money, you have every right in the world to refuse that money. But there are many, many athletes who could not only use it for themselves, but their families as they're bringing in millions of dollars to that university that would like to see that money that can put it to good use. And I don't think it's right for Tim Tebow to say just because the system worked for him that that's the way it should work for everybody.
It's also, we can also question if that system actually worked for him, but that's neither here nor there.
I really don't know if
Tim Tebow was not a virgin through college. Yeah. I would say that on camera.
He said that his jersey was the top 3 selling jersey in the world when he was at Florida. I don't know about that.
Many comments.
What do you mean so many comments? I invite Tim Tebow. You ever get a hold of this clip?
I'm not going to comment on man's sexual activities.
I'll be happy to shake your hand and tell you I'm wrong if you can prove it.
Go ahead, Max.
My tap out, like usual, is really just like life is flying by. I am ready for another just absolutely insane winter of sports. Like it really hit me that the Sixers are reporting back. We have the weirdest preseason in the world hockey going on. And it's about to be finally that time of the year where you have 3 of the 4 major sports going on. And even the 4th one for a little bit when baseball has that trickle over. So the next month or so is going to be really, really wild. If you're a sports junkie like me, like I'll watch whatever's good, honestly. And maybe not so much preseason hockey and basketball, but I got NFL, I got playoff baseball, and then after that I got regular season of 2 sports that I like. So that and top Premier League soccer. I don't even have time to think most days. I'm just too busy sitting down in front of my TV and watching.
The months of October, November through about February, March, and if you want to include the beginning of April for like the NCAA March Madness. Hands down the best time of sports. You have every sport in the world.
Yeah, absolutely.
October is just the best month. Period. Like,
spooky month.
Is your birthday in October?
Yes, it is.
There it is.
October's very young over there.
Make sure you wish Mickey a happy birthday every show in October because you don't know which one it'll be.
Every show because you won't know
you won't know which one it is.
Right.
Every show.
Big facts. I mean, I'm kind of just glad to be here. Oh, and I get music played on me. I don't get to tap out.
You're like Drake at the Grammys right now.
I mean, well, thanks for watching.
Go ahead, man, go. We want to tap out.
I mean, all I have to say is check on your friends who are teachers. We're not okay. Check on your friends that have toddlers. We are also not okay. Check on your friends. Thanks for watching Trust the Process Live. Oh, my new Philly, where something is always new and everything's always Philly.
Yeah. I stand by my comments about Tim Tebow.
I know. I have so many comments.
No man.
No D1 athlete in history can turn that shit down.
No, I'm the other way around. That man had